This is Support is Sexy, episode 252, with Melanie Mackie, founder and social stylist at Scarletta Media. Welcome to Support is Sexy. I'm your host, Elayne Fluker, entrepreneur, author, and founder of Chic Rebellion Media. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, I interview inspiring women entrepreneurs who share their wins and their lessons to help you take your business and your life to the next level and create something sexy. Here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Support is Sexy. I'm happy to have you here. It just would not be the same without you. And today I am excited to share social media tips from Melanie Mackie, all the way from the UK. She is the founder and social stylist at her company, Scarletta Media. And Melanie shares with us not only how to present yourself or even promote yourself on your social media platforms. What I love is that she talks about also how to stop hiding in general, online and definitely offline. And many of us as women entrepreneurs, we have these ideas or things that we want to create. We have this passion to be out front, not necessarily in the spotlight, but whatever it means for you to be out front. And there's something in us that's blocking us from doing that, from taking that step. And Melanie talks to us about how she began to evolve her business to not only focus on what you're posting on social media, but really how you're feeling about yourself and about your business. So on this episode, what you'll hear from Melanie is how to stop hiding and step out front, that there's not one secret formula for social, how to be brilliant on all of your platforms, what is social styling by Melanie's definition, how do you build your know, like, and trust factor? Very important. Should there be a difference between your social content on your business account versus your personal account? And this is something that I think about and discuss with people a lot. What should be the difference? Should they be the same? Does it even matter? You'll hear in this episode, I ask Melanie a lot of my own questions. So it's a little bit selfish, but it's great advice from her. Also, how to create a quote unquote living brand on social, the importance of connections and collaborations, the common social media mistakes women entrepreneurs make, Melanie's productivity tools to help you manage social, especially because sometimes it can get a little overwhelming, the value of turning down projects that don't align with your brand, and also how to get over your blockage around pricing, which is something a lot of us deal with as far as value, self-worth, and all of those things. So we talk about that as well. So I know you're going to love this episode, chock full of great tips and advice. You know, for more, you can go to supportissexypodcast.com. Just go to the search icon at the top and type in Melanie, Melanie, and her show notes page will pop up with all of the resources there for you, links and everything. Supportissexypodcast.com. All right, so now without further ado, Melanie Mackie. So Melanie, thank you so much for joining us for an episode of Support is Sexy. I'm excited to chat with you.
Yeah, I'm delighted to be here, Elayne. Thanks for having me along with you.
Of course. So first question, when did you first fall in love with entrepreneurship?
Okay, well, I kind of fell into being an entrepreneur by accident, really. It was never my intention to set up my own business, but what I started out doing initially was creating my own blog. And after about a year of blogging, I loved it and decided that I really wanted to kind of make a go of my small business. So my business, Scarletta Media, really kind of launched off the back of my blog, which was called Scarletta's Blog at the time. And then I decided that I really was going to give it my best shot, really, to create a small business around what I was doing.
What was your blog about? Or is your blog about? Do you still do it?
Yeah, the blog has kind of evolved, so it still is pretty much the same, but it was very much about social media, which was very new in the UK at the time. So I launched it back in 2009, and it was a really kind of exciting time for us here because there weren't really many businesses in the UK at that time that were using Twitter for business or Facebook pages for business. So I really kind of I got involved with social media in my previous role before I became self-employed, and that's really how I got into social media through my previous job. So it was really kind of starting a blog that I loved writing, and that really is where the seeds of my business grew from there, in helping share kind of my knowledge and insights into the social world and the social revolution through my blog.
Mm-hmm. Were you able to did you see immediately a response to your blog? Or I know I asked that because I know some people begin blogging and love it and love writing so they can keep going. But others, if they don't see a response from people, meaning an audience or something like that right away, they might decide to stop.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was really a question of being in the right place at the right time, because, like I said, there weren't many kind of social media consultants in the UK at the time. So I was kind of sharing the insights as I was growing my business too. So it was very much a tried and tested methodology and insights to what I was using and how the industry was changing at the time. So yeah, it did start very well, and I used to get a lot more comments, a lot more interaction on my blog, because there weren't as many bloggers as there are today, and all of us kind of competing for space online. So in that sense, it was really brilliant for me to start my business.
Right. Now, did you grow up in the UK?
I did grow up in the UK, yeah.
What was a young Melanie like?
I think, looking back, very adventurous, and what's kind of come to light through having my own business is my love of creativity, in particular writing. So I never kind of felt that I really stood out at anything at school. You know, I wasn't really kind of sporty or anything like that. But since starting my own business, my parents and my sister have said about my writing, and I always used to come up with stories and write stories, which I never really kind of thought about until I started my own business. And everyone's like, well, yeah, that's obvious to everyone but me. But
right.
Yeah, so the thread of my life really has been the writing.
Isn't that funny how that happens? We're sort of drawn to things later, and then either we realize it or someone else says, well, you've always done that. And it's like, really? Yeah. Exactly.
Yes.
I love that. That's the great thing about entrepreneurship too. You can sort of incorporate those things.
Yes, absolutely.
Who would you say were some of your greatest influences growing up?
Definitely the women in my life. So definitely my mum, my grandmothers, and I had a great aunt as well who I was very close to. And she was probably my greatest inspiration. She lived till she was 96. She lived through both the world wars, travelled the world when her husband passed away when she was in her 60s, and learnt to drive. So she was really quite a remarkable woman. And now I kind of feel, now that I'm older, I can appreciate so much more of what they taught me and the way that they lived their lives. So definitely kind of the women in my family and my family overall. Obviously, my husband, he's hugely supportive for my business. And now my niece. So I have a niece who's 6 years old. Aww. And she's going the other way, kind of from family, remarkable in her spirit and her kind of strength, and just really kind of shows you how young people view the world. And she just is amazing. So she very much influences me as well, which is lovely. And then outside of that, I love kind of women entrepreneurs, particularly kind of Danielle Laporte, Liz Gilbert, Gabrielle Bernstein, Brené Brown, you know, those types of women. I followed kind of their work and their books and how, you know, what they've shared with us, you know, over the last kind of 10 years or so. And they've been a huge influence on helping me grow my business and grow my own self-belief and all of that.
Excellent. Did you have any idea what you thought you would be when you grew up? Did you study anything in particular at university, or what did you think at that time?
Well, when I kind of left school, I wanted to be an air stewardess. And I was very much drawn to travel. So freedom has always been another thread of my life of, you know, being able to travel and have that freedom and flexibility over where I lived and what I did for a living. Unfortunately, I was too short to be a air stewardess. Because I'm just over 5'1". And at the time, you needed to be a lot taller. But actually, that was okay, because I then went on to be a holiday rep, and I lived in and worked in France for several years. So again, that kind of has a thread with my business, that I do go back to France quite a lot. And the petite business comes back through my own kind of personal brand. So I didn't really have any kind of intention to own my own business, or I could never have envisaged where I am today. However, again, what has really been strong to me is that freedom and sense of being able to kind of work from anywhere, which really having pretty much a virtual business has enabled me to do.
Now, the phrase petite business, which I love, but this might be my own ignorance, is that the UK way of saying small business, or is that your own phrasing?
That's just kind of my own, because
I love it, Melanie. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, two reasons. Like I said, so for me, people that know me know that, my future is really very much that I want to be in France, and luckily we go there a lot. So that's kind of like my spiritual home, if you like. So that's kind of tied up with my brand in that way. But also, I felt small sounded quite derogatory to these powerful women that I meet. So I felt petite was a lot quirkier and really kind of, they may be small or petite, but they're powerful. So it was really kind of around that as well, that having a petite business doesn't necessarily make it insignificant or, cannot compete with the big guys. It's really to kind of emphasize that point.
I love that. I will give you credit every time I refer to
Thank
businesses.
you.
I love it. I wrote it down.
Thank you.
So speaking of that, at Scarletta Media, you work with petite businesses and women entrepreneurs specifically. One of the things mentioned was to help them stop hiding. So how do you help your clients move beyond that need to hide? Because so many of us want to not necessarily be in the spotlight, but want to be out front or want to do other things. And there's this part of us that just continues to hide.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of that and a lot of how my work has evolved. So initially it was kind of showing people how to tweet, how to create Facebook pages and so on. But also for me and how I evolved, I knew that if I wanted to make the impact that I wanted to make, then I needed to be more visible and stop hiding kind of in my own business, which meant, doing things like this, interviews, getting out there, being seen kind of visually. And it was very much about bringing myself to business on and the business to life online, for two reasons. Mainly because I think there are so many other people now competing for that online space, that our USP and the way that we're different is always us. And secondly, I meet so many brilliant women who have such incredible work, incredible gifts, so much wisdom to share. But it's just that barrier that they need some help. Sometimes it's in terms of confidence. Sometimes it's clarity with message. Sometimes it's just somebody to say, come on, you can do this, to enable them to really kind of show up online more powerfully and kind of own who they are unapologetically. So it can be various things. Sometimes, it's not kind of the same thing every time with every client. It can be different things. But generally, they tend to fall into that kind of group where it could be, like I said, just a bit of confidence, it's clarity, it's somebody to kind of, lead the way and just support them on that journey to kind of speak their truth.
And what do you tell clients who may feel overwhelmed by all of the social media platforms out there? As you said, when you first started with blogging and doing social media, it was a lot less. Now, sometimes it feels like there's a new one every week. And do we need to be everywhere? Those would be I'm asking you all of the questions I want to know for myself.
I think for me, again, this is kind of where the social style comes in, and a flow to it is wherever you are, that you're doing it brilliantly and to the best of your ability. So if that means that you just show up on Facebook, or you're an Instagrammer, or you're blogging, whether you want to do all of those things or more, or just focus on one thing, whatever you're doing, do it really well. And I think it's that where a lot of us look at other businesses as well, see what they're doing and think, well, if I've got any chance of kind of winning new clients or whatever, I've got to do exactly what they're doing. And what I kind of realised for me and my own business, and again where the kind of social style came in, is that we need to have our own strategy, style and approach that works for us and that is realistic, and it's going to get those results that we personally want for our businesses. So that's a huge thing as well, that often people are overwhelmed by trying to do it all and believing that there's a one size fits all formula for every petite business. But I don't believe there is. I think it is It's about us as business owners and working out what we want and how we want to work and where we want to show up, and also about our tribes and our people and where we want to connect with. And as long as we're giving them really kind of that insight into us and our business, and also offering extreme value wherever that may be, like a podcast like this, for example, is hugely valuable. So it's being selective again and being realistic about what is achievable for them in the longer term, rather than trying to be scattered in approach.
One of the things that you mentioned is social styling, and I know that's something that's your specialty and it's mentioned on your website. So can you tell us more about what that is and how that works?
Yeah, so that kind of came about again from me thinking more about, marketing, we kind of call it more modern marketing now, again, is that people want to know who the person is behind a business. They want to have that kind of know, like and trust, or I would say know, love and trust, enable them to kind of make a buying decision quickly. And because there are so many businesses, again, like we said, competing for space online, having your own kind of social media style that's kind of authentic to you is one of the ways that you can really start to stand out as being, very transparent about who you are in your business. So that includes like brilliant visual photos of you, which can really kind of give your clients and your tribe an insight as to what it's like to work with you and who you are as a person, what your beliefs are, kind of sharing your values, your vision, if you've got a mission for your business, what that's all about. But it's also about what's in it for them, and really kind of blending all of that together into kind of one social style and strategy that's quite kind of unique to you as an individual and also your business. And that really, again, kind of evolved through my own kind of learning. And what I was seeing on the internet is that businesses who were kind of following that approach and really kind of showing up authentically were and still are kind of established. They're building trusted kind of communities and clients, around their work and what they're doing. So that to me is very much kind of where the social revolution has taken us, is to that.
What do you think about, interested in your opinion on, if you have a business account on whichever platform, and then you have your personal account, your business account obviously will reflect all of the things about your business, but then your personal is things about you and just maybe more random as opposed to intentional as a business site is. Do you think someone's personal site should also reflect their business, or could they be separate?
Yeah, it's interesting because recently I started using Facebook and having my own kind of personal profile in my own name, almost as my own brand, as well as kind of what I've got with Scarletta. And what that gives me the opportunity to do is to blend all of that together. So again, I'm not just my business. I'm, we're so many other things other than just what we do for our day job. So for me, again, it's about showing a social style and what I call a living brand, something that will grow and evolve with us, where people really get a flavour of who we are as people, kind of inside work and also outside work. So for me, I'm very much into gardening. That's what I do as well outside of work. I'm into kind of, I live near the River Thames. So that's part of kind of the stuff that I would share on Instagram. Again, I talked about my family, just little snippets where people feel that they're getting to know the person just enough, I believe can be blended as well into the business information as well. So it gives you kind of like an all-round perspective of that person.
Adds a bit of humanity to it.
Yeah, absolutely, and shows that we're real. And again, I think it is about being discerning as to how much of our personal information we share. There is that as well, that we all create our own boundaries on that. And also, I think it's keeping a professional hat on at all times. So again, for me, it's remembering that I don't want to share anything online that could be detrimental to my business if it's deemed too personal. So it's all of that as well that we really have to kind of figure out. And again, it's our own kind of personal preference as to how much we're willing to share.
I think that's such a good point. I always tell people when they say, "Oh, well, that was on my personal page," and I say, "Well, it's not your private page. You know, if you have the
No,
information
yeah.
out there, people still, when they Google your name, if it's under your name, they will still see whatever that is. So be comfortable having that out there, whatever it
Yeah.
is." Yeah.
Yes.
Now, Melanie, what do you think most of us as petite business owners get wrong about social media, or misunderstand, I should say, about social media?
I think it's getting the blend of focusing on being a social business. And, again, following on from what we're just saying, really, it's getting that social business angle on it first as a priority, because if you don't talk about your business at all, then how are people going to know how you can help them and what you offer and how you serve? So that's one thing. But people stop doing that because they don't want to be deemed as overly promoting or selling. So again, it's kind of getting that blend right of being professional, talking about your business and raising awareness of your expertise and what you're doing, but also joining in with the conversation, being proactive in connecting with others, because that's a huge thing, again, where people show up on social media, put their stuff out there and expect, everyone to come to them. And it doesn't work like that. It is, very much about being proactive and reaching out as well as what you're putting out. So that's really kind of the key to it, I think, is, making sure that you've got the blend of a social business and a social kind of human being as well, kind of together.
One of the things I heard someone say, I can't remember who it was, but she said she really grew her audience. Oh, I think it was Melinda Emerson, the small biz lady. She said she really grew her audience by being intentional also about sharing other people's content that made sense and aligned with her business. But as much as her own stuff, there was, I think she had a day or a certain amount of hours where, she intentionally looked for things from other people. And that helped as well, instead of just all of your own things.
Yeah, and I did that again very much in the beginning, and even today actually. But again, I'm very kind of choosy over whose content that may be, mainly because again, it's got to have that synergy with my kind of people as well. And I think that's the same thing for all of us, that we're just, it could be a very complementary kind of topic or business that works with us and what we do, but it's not our core function. So absolutely, that's great. And often for me, with the work that I do collaborate and work with other businesses as well, particularly if it's something, again, that my clients may need some help or particular coaching to help them show up, if it's something that's kind of blocking them. So, for example, if they needed something like hypnotherapy or techniques to help them speak in public, things like that could potentially be holding them back. That's not what I do, but I know plenty of other people who can help them. So things like that, again, I think are great for kind of helping people on the kind of periphery of your business and sharing content around that too.
So when you sit down with the client for Scarletta Media, what are some of your first steps? What are some of the first things that you want to know from them when you're sort of helping them create their social style?
We always kind of start off with who they are as a person and why they want to do what they're doing. If they don't have that kind of almost clear, I think it's something that always grows and evolves. It's not static. But if they don't really know themselves, then it's very difficult for them to go on and do the work to work out who their ideal client is or what their message is and so on. So we always kind of start on who they are, what the business is about, and what the kind of vision and mission is for it, really, so that the social media side comes later, in the structure of it. We work at the core and really what I would say kind of the heart and soul of the person and the business, so that we can find some clarity on that and then go and articulate whatever that may be.
What tools or apps do you suggest to make us more productive on social, if that's possible?
I know one that's called Rescue Time, which means, you're not on it all the time, or it tells you how much you're spending on there, because there's that.
Rescue Time?
Rescue Time, yeah.
Oh, I got to look that
up. Yeah, because when I started with Scarletta, I had a BlackBerry, and it was we're only talking 8 years ago, but my working day was pretty much when I signed off in the evening, that was it. Now, with our smartphones, our tablets, and the way kind of the social world is, 24/7 we could be checking in,
Right.
So for that aspect, that's definitely something where I believe we need to be kind of structured in what we're doing and how often we're showing up with social media, because we could be dipping in and out of it all the time and not getting anything else done. So that's a really good tool for just kind of managing your day and managing your time. I use Hootsuite, which is brilliant for me in terms of automation. I don't tend to automate too much, just because that's just how I am and how I like to use social media. But I do schedule in tweets and sometimes Facebook posts and things like that. But I know there are other similar tools out there that help automate, which is great to keep that flow going out there. And again, save time so that you're not distracted and get caught up on Facebook when you really should be doing something else.
Right. One that I just started using, I watched a webinar with it and then signed up for the trial. I really like it, is Meet Edgar.
Yes. Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Just because of as a petite entrepreneur, a solopreneur too, there are days with even with Hootsuite, I use that too actually. But even with Hootsuite, if I forget to schedule or something like that, then I think, oh no, I didn't have anything, post today. Whereas Meet Edgar, at least if you forget it, it goes up. It goes in a cycle, if you will.
And it recycles stuff as well, which is very clever, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Brilliant.
All right, great. That's good to know. Rescue time, though. I'm going to look that one up for sure. And for everyone listening, I'll have a link to it to rescue us all from doing it too much. So, Melanie, what would you say entrepreneurship has taught you about yourself as a woman?
I think, in a word, resilience. That you have to kind of be strong and take the rough with the smooth. It's never a straight line, although when you start out you think everyone else has got it sussed and that they're all okay all of the time. So for me, it is really kind of about that strength of resilience and having the confidence and courage to really kind of speak my truth. And I'm doing that more, especially now that I'm older and my life circumstances have kind of enabled that as well, that kind of growth. So I feel very excited as well for us as women that we've got a huge opportunity to really kind of use the internet and use social media to make a difference in the world. And I believe that is really needed more than ever now. So regardless of where we are, that's really kind of what I believe and what I'm trying to do, with my own work, is to be brave, get out there and really kind of spread my own message.
And the fact that, to echo what you said, I'm just so moved even doing the podcast, just connecting with women around the world.
Yes.
It's easier than ever to do that. Yeah.
And so many people have got so many inspiring stories and things to share. Remarkable work that they're doing, and so to me that really kind of helps me believe that my work is needed, and that's really what I'm driven to do, is to reach those people or those women who may not have been reached quite yet and say, you've got a huge gift here to offer the world, let's get it out there. So that is, I think, really exciting for all of us.
Absolutely. What would you say, is there a moment in your business or along your journey that sort of taught you your one of your greatest lessons? I hate to say, I don't like to use the word, what's your worst moment, in your business? It's more so.
How long have you got?
I know, exactly. Tell us about just something that taught you a lesson that's going to stay with you.
What taught me a lesson was actually turning down work that felt totally wrong for me. And that, again, really kind of helped me with the social styling and the branding for myself, in getting clear on what my business was about and not trying to fit myself or my services into people or businesses that just didn't feel right. For example, I had a guy call me up once who was really not into social media at all. We didn't have that synergy, and I would have kind of taken that work on in the early days, because that's what you do. It's kind of, any work is great work. And then you kind of learn, no, actually, I need to go after the work that's right for me. and that we've got that synergy, and that instinctively you're a great fit. So that was a huge learning curve for me. It didn't feel great to say no at the time, but once I did, it really kind of took my business up to another level, and also really helped me with my own kind of branding, and really kind of putting my own stamp on my work to say, kind of like, this is what my business is all about, kind of take it or leave it, rather than trying to like people please and fit into something which I knew really wasn't the right fit for me or them. So that really has put me in good stead now. But yeah, like I said, it was difficult at the time because you don't want to say no. And you don't know where the next client's coming from. So it's risky. That's taken a bit of a risk, but for me, it paid off. And I do believe that is really kind of key for all of us, that we're not for everybody. And it's accepting that and trusting that if we put kind of a niche around our business, that the right people will come to us, and they do.
You're so right. And I think, thank you for sharing that. It's a great lesson. And I think, for all of us, even once we are I'll speak for myself, even being into the business for many years, there's still, I don't know if it's as a woman or just who I am, there's a part of you that wants to people please or wants to help and that kind of thing, even though there's something in you or in your intuition that says, no, this isn't a good fit for you. It doesn't make you a bad person. I think it makes you a good businesswoman.
Yes.
Right.
And I think that's kind of like a muscle, isn't it? Or your intuition. Yeah. For me, again, definitely that has something quite recent, only in the last few years that I've really learned to follow and trust. And sometimes the answer may not be obvious to us. It may not be obvious why this isn't good for us, but we just feel it in our bones and in our guts that no, don't do this. So that, again, has been a real thing for me to learn, to trust that. And when I do, I'm always okay. And when I don't, there's a lesson somewhere.
There's a lesson there. Exactly.
That will come along. So I think, again, that's, just trusting ourselves and believing in the kind of inner voice of wisdom, if you like.
Do you think that's the same, or has this been your experience? Do you think it's the same with pricing as well, which is another thing that, statistics show that women entrepreneurs tend to, not all, but most tend to struggle with. And part of it is wanting to people please and, make it work for someone. And the other part of it is just a value, self-worth kind of thing.
Yeah.
Do you find that's also something we need to really tap into, that courage?
Absolutely. And I work with clients on this, and this is a huge thing. I think, as you said, for all of us, it's that I came out of corporate, world as well before. So that was kind of my background before I became a female entrepreneur. And it's taken me some time, again, to really package up what I do. So a lot of the businesses that I work tend to have quite holistic type businesses. They could be coaching or whatever, and they're giving away so much for free and also don't like to charge what they're worth. And the thing is, again, it's not about what we're worth as people. It's not our self-worth. It's the service and kind of, or the products or packages that we're offering. And there's a difference between that. And somebody taught me that. And as soon as they did, it took that pressure off me as an individual, thinking, well, they're paying me. And now my mindset and what helped grow my business and my revenue is, no, they're paying me for my service. This is what I'm helping them do. And that very simple switch helped me to really kind of work out the pricing that I'm comfortable with, and also makes it realistic and sustainable for my business. So it's all of that, again, of people start out and have maybe a time for money model in their business where they're charging by the hour. Well, nothing ever takes an hour. We all know that. And the amount of time and energy that we give to, whether it's marketing, whether it's phone calls, whether it's emails, it will never be an hour. So the best thing is to really kind of offer those kind of packages and be at a level that you're comfortable with and that's sustainable for a business, but also get that mindset that they're not paying you. Because again, it's that we're so tied up with our businesses are us, but it's kind of just taking yourself out of the equation personally and looking at the services and products you're offering and pricing them. And that's kind of really helped me to do that.
I thank you for that. Especially, I think that's going to help a lot of people. Really, just you said that not small. It's very significant, but that tiny little shift in the mind, in mindset. Will really, even thinking about myself, it's sort of not. It's not about you, or they're not buying you. It's about the service and putting a value to that service. That's something else that I've been hearing a lot of people talk about. What kind of value is this going to bring to your customer? Think about that too, not just, it's just this little thing that I'm offering. It's really about the value. Excellent. Thank you so much. That's great. What does your support network look like?
Well, family, obviously. My husband, he's been brilliant ever since I started the business, hugely kind of supportive, which is great. I am a member of a mastermind group with 5 other entrepreneurs, and that's really been brilliant to have a safe place. So we meet up in London usually once a month, and then we've got a private Facebook group that we connect with each other pretty much on a daily basis. So that is great for encouragement, for support.
Is this women
just
you already
to bounce ideas? Well, we met kind of through networking initially. So we kind of knew each other but didn't know each other very well. And one of the members of the group, she was the instigator of it and said, look, I'm feeling really isolated and want to kind of set up a mastermind group where, I can kind of get some support. We can mutually kind of support one another. Right. And asked if, individually we were interested, and we all said yes. And it's been brilliant, best thing ever. Yeah, best thing
they're so
ever.
Powerful.
And not just for business, but for our lives as well. We've all had a lot of kind of big life changes go on. And I think we've kind of been together in that probably about 3 years. So that is a lifeline. So for anybody who's on their own, definitely get, some sort of support network in that way around you. It's a great thing to have. So it's different from networking. It's, kind of, you've got that openness and transparency where you can really get some great support and help when you need it. So what else does my support? I wrote those down. Other kind of female entrepreneurs who I kind of call my soul sisters, and they tend to be people who you just have that synergy with and kind of like minds. So again, not necessarily similar businesses, but very similar kind of outlook on life, outlook on business. They tend to be people that I'm naturally kind of drawn to, and I either connect with them in person at kind of networking events, like I was saying, or through Facebook groups and online. So that again is brilliant to kind of help support and bounce ideas around when you need it.
Excellent. So in closing, Melanie, if you think over your life and career and you had the chance to thank only one person whose support was critical to you personally or professionally, who would that be and what would you say?
Oh, that's a really hard question. I think really it would be to myself. Ooh. I would have answered this differently probably a year or so ago. But to me, the only way you are going to stay on stick the path is by having that self-belief and trust in yourself. And that's something that I have to work on. I know a lot of other women entrepreneurs have to work on. We can have that support network around us, but ultimately it is down to us to keep going. And like I said, find that inner strength and resilience to carry on and keep creating and do our work. So, yeah, I guess I would kind of like say to myself, because we don't do that and we're always kind of very critical. So it would be, to me, is that a bit self-indulgent? No, maybe, but it's quite a new thing to me to say that. But I think, if I don't take the action, it doesn't happen. So it has to be me.
I love that. That's a first. I've done 250 plus episodes, and that's a first, and I love it.
Oh, great.
So fabulous.
Will that be my legacy then?
That
would be brilliant.
Legacy, exactly. That is perfect. So tell us now how we can support you. Give everyone, I'll have links to everything, of course, but your website, social media, of course, anything else you want us to know.
Yeah, okay. So my website is scarlettamedia.com, and I have still Scarletta's blog on there, which has got lots of kind of news, views about the kind of social world on there. So listeners can come over and find me there. If you are interested in social styling, I have a page about working together. So I work on a one-to-one. I do work in person and on Skype. So I have clients all over the world, which is brilliant, thanks to the internet. Mm-hmm. And I also offer, if you're looking to create your own kind of social style and not sure how to get started, I offer a online e-course, and there's a free download with the first 3 sessions. So they're called social styling sessions that you can sign up for, and you can get hold of those straight away if they are of interest. And finally, I have a private Facebook group where I share usually weekly kind of Facebook live sessions about a particular topic to do with kind of social media or our businesses, and that's open to female entrepreneurs as well to come and join me there. And if they've got any questions, they can post them in, and hopefully they can get the answers to any of those questions and challenges, and also connect with other female entrepreneurs in there too. So yeah, lots of stuff there, but that's kind of like the top line stuff of where I'm at.
Excellent. Now, the private Facebook group, that's not, I see Scarletta Media as your Facebook page, but is the group something that's invitation only, or how do people find out?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. So
if they work
again,
with you.
Yeah. So if you go to the Scarletta Media Facebook page, you will find so for example, we did a session this morning. You will see an invite to each topic as and when it arises, and you just request your access through there. Okay. So if you'd like to join that, then you will find all the details on the Scarletta Facebook page.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Melanie. This was, one, educational for me, but then such a delight to talk to you. Yes.
Thank you, Elayne. And it's brilliant, again, what you're doing as well. And I love the podcasts. They've been great. So
thank you.
Really, really pleased to chat to you.
Excellent. Now, before you go, what's a parting piece of advice from you to our listeners about anything?
I think for me, again, very much topic for this year is that if you feel you've got a kind of powerful message or powerful work that you really want to kind of get out there into the world and make your difference, go for it. There's no better time now. We've got as long as you've got Wi-Fi, you've got, the internet, social media at your disposal, and you can really reach the people that need to hear from you. So, I encourage you just to be bold, dig deep, and go for it.
Excellent. Melanie Mackie, hold on just a second. All right. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Melanie. For more, you can go to supportissexypodcast.com. Just search Melanie, Melanie, and her show notes page will pop up there with all of the resources, links, and ways to get in touch with her. Also, please do me a favor and go to supportissexysurvey.com. So that's support is sexy, SURVEY.com, and let me know what kind of things you think will be most helpful for you in moving your business or your idea or your dream forward. It's 7 questions. It'll take you less than 5 minutes, I promise, unless you're going to be really deep in thought about these questions. But most of it is questions all about you and what you're up to, and then what do you think you need that will help you move forward in your business. I have some suggestions there, but I really want to hear what you think. This is my Help Me Help You survey. So please go to supportissexysurvey.com. If you have a few minutes, fill that out for me. I would greatly appreciate it. Before I create anything else, do anything else, I'm loving the podcast. Thank God you're loving the podcast, but I want to make sure what I'm doing is of the best service to you. So supportissexysurvey.com. And before you go, I want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Chic Rebellion Media. So if you're ready to tell your unique story, we all have a story. What's important is how we communicate that story to our audience, listeners, viewers, readers, whoever your audience is. It's important that your brand story be very well communicated so people know who you are and what you're up to. If you want to know more about having your brand story created just for you, you can go to chicrebellionmedia.com. That's CHIC rebellionmedia.com. All right. So thank you all so much for listening. I truly appreciate you. As I always say, this would not be the same without you. So I am so happy to have you here. Now, until next time, you know what to do. Go out there and create something sexy, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.